My name is Jason Williams, aka JP Slouch, also known as Broom. I've been making music since I was a kid. I think around 8 years old, and it's my passion. Along the way, I've met up with some pretty interesting characters, all with their own unique stories, views, and talents. This podcast show celebrates those friends I've amassed in my many years of ups and downs, in this crazy trip that we all call life. Join me as I go 4 drinks deep with JP Slouch and PALS. What's up, man?
I can hear you, dude. What's
awesome.
Up?
I can hear you too. What's happening?
We did it. What's good, man? It's been a long time, dude. How you doing, brother?
Hanging in there, getting 4 drinks deep as always. You know how I do it over here. Dude, so, Steve, see, is that your hair in the back there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice. Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Hey, what's up? I'm Steve. I don't know, what do I do nowadays? I make video games mostly. I don't know. just a dude.
Just the dude. Well, dude, one of my oldest best friends, definitely one of these dudes right here, man. Straight up, I think I remember it was the great Merlin Aaron Solly that introduced us through that whole crowd back in high school. You were definitely someone that was like one of my partners in crime of going to shows, getting into the pits. One of my comrades was amazingly fun. Dude, I think from back in the days, like, you know, with most of our whole, you know, mutant crowd and everything, we all gravitated towards music. I remembered you were a huge fan of like Bad Religion, you know, and Circle Jerks, like some old school punk bands.
So growing up, I don't think there was like a huge musical influence in my life. You know, I grew up in a little hick town, like homeschooled and all that before I moved to the city. So
what town was that again that you grew up in?
El Dorado was like a town of like 300 people or something. But my cousin Chuck used to come and visit during the summers, and he came out one summer and was like staying with us, and he was all into that skater punk stuff. He kind of introduced me to it all. So like, it was like he showed me, you know, Bad Religion. I fell in love with like instantly. Like I heard it, I was just like, oh my god, this shit's great. And then Danzig, I just like, it just released his first like solo album, and you know, with the one with Mother,
yes.
Yeah, dude. And I remember just like bumping that song, and then it was Bad Religion's, I guess it was Against the Grain, had just like came out. And that was like the one he was like really bumping all the time. And I just fell in love with it. I was like, oh my God, what is this shit? Like, I was like, I don't know, 13 or something. You know what I mean? I was like, what the fuck? Oh, this is just, I've never heard anything like this. And it just fit my angsty, wanting to rebel, small town youth lifestyle at the time. And I just fell in love with punk right then. Like, especially that SoCal. Like that was like Bad Religion, the SoCal punk, you know, was coming out, like the Descendants and, you know, No Effect, you know, like all that kind of stuff really hit. Yeah, and I think that's when I got into it. And then a couple of years later, I moved to the Bay to stay with the cousins. I met like Aaron and them because I met Galen and Ian standing in line to get our fucking pictures taken at Woodside, because Galen had like dyed his hair like bright pink for the photos. and like was wearing, and him and Ian were wearing like ridiculous outfits, and like everybody, and I was just laughing. I was like, oh, that's fucking great. And then Fred was in my history class, and I kind of met them then, and then like Fred, and then like I seen them with Fred, and then like I just like, we started chatting and shit, and like I didn't know anybody. It was like my first year there, and just kind of like hit it off, I guess. I don't know, they were fucking weird, and I was weird, and just worked, I guess.
Together in your
Yeah.
weirdness kind of deal. That's how, like, so we all gravitated together. That must have been
Right.
tough for you, though. You're going from a town of like, what, say you said 300 people to then going to Woodside, right? Was that you started at Woodside, which was
Yeah.
like just 300 people plus in that school
In the school.
alone? So how was it like with the transition of doing it?
I think it took months, right? Like before I like kind of met anybody. But I feel like when you were younger, insta bonding was so much easier, right? Like, like find somebody who was like, oh, you click, dude. And then like, you were more in line with you, like your passions were strong and your emotions were a lot stronger when you were younger. So it was like you just found people and you're just like, holy shit, dude, you're badass. I want to hang out with you. And I feel like it was a little easier once I kind of found those people that are like, that was like kind of drawn towards. From what I remember, my memory is not the best, all that drinking from the years. My memory's got like Swiss cheese, bro.
Yeah, definitely so. And also with going with you're saying too, like even because back in those days, right, there was still, online, there's still internet, but not as much, it wasn't as prevalent, right? So if
Didn't
somebody
even
was like
use
a
it.
fan of like, Sick of It All or like,
Right.
Bad Religion, all that, they had to have known the band to go to. They can't just Google it one day and know
Yeah.
everything about it from like Wikipedia and everything nowadays.
I know there was computers and internet. But I never used it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like we didn't have it. Like, I mean, where when I grew up before we moved to the city, I mean, we didn't even have a computer. So like, I know when I moved in with my cousins or whatever, and they had a computer. You know what I mean? But like, I never fucking used it.
Mm-hmm.
Internet? What the fuck's the internet, bro?
Exactly. We're still going to the library.
Yeah,
In the
yeah,
library.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
like,
the good old Woodside days of even before the internet, man.
oh,
What
dude.
it did was give us the libraries, and then the one
Mm.
thing that I remember back, besides us having the most amazing times in the parks, right? Going to what Stallstaff
Oh
Park,
yeah.
Eden
Edgewood.
Park. What were some of the other ones that we went to?
Upper,
So
what
many.
we go to Edgewood, lower and
Hmm.
upper Edgewood or whatever, dude. What else was there? The Quarry,
Yeah,
lots of the
there's ton,
Quarry.
the Stoner Rock and
Oh
everything like
yeah,
that.
the
I mean, what was that?
oh shit.
Yeah,
There was the
there's a
rope
ton.
swing, the rope
Definitely,
swing.
like all over, like such the
Yeah,
random parks. Funny note though, actually about the Edgewood. You know how we would go up to the upper part, right? And there was
yeah,
like,
the hill.
yeah, there was like
Yeah,
this extinct butterfly that was there. Remember, and
yeah.
it was like a big thing. It was like a sanctuary to try to get this butterfly to come back, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
used to trot up and down that hill, so that butterfly was extinct for a long time. Since we stopped going there, that butterfly now is considered something dangerous to the area because it's overpopulated. So now they're trying to not have that butterfly there anymore.
They
So
just
in a
need to
sense,
get
we were
some.
saving Redwood City back in those days. Right?
That's it. I feel really good about our kegs going up that hill now. Like, not
Definitely,
only did we get some good leg work in, some good drinking, we were preserving nature.
preserve the
We were the
nature.
natural predators of the area. We did good.
Definitely, and it was
I was
partly
proud.
probably
I was
because
very
of us that
proud
we
of it.
found that stall staff had mercury in the creek because
Yeah,
we were in
because
there.
man, we did a lot for Redwood. If we think
We
about
did,
it,
man. They
like I
should
feel
make
like
statues of us in
you
Redwood
should,
City.
you
I
should
think
just like
but another thing that I remember with you was, like you said, with the libraries, you were the most accomplished reader that I
mhm.
knew of back in the days, and you had a specific genre that you were very much into, and you were getting me into this little known story that no one knew about at the time called Game of Thrones.
I think reading for me was like, small town, remember, and grew up all my life like kind of a loner before I moved to the city. So it was like my escape from life. I think, like now kids have, the internet and, all these different things. But when we were growing up, there wasn't a lot, especially if you live in a small town or like out in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are you gonna do? So I just like from a very young age, just really got into reading. I remember like when I was in grade school or whatever, I actually got in trouble because we had the summer reading, and this is like, dude, like fourth or fifth grade, and I read Stephen King's Pet Cemetery, and it came back and was like trying to do like a book report on Pet Cemetery in front of a bunch of kids that like were reading Berenstain Bears and shit like that. And I'm like, well, so this cat dies. And like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So yeah, I really got into reading, and it just stuck with, I mean, I'm more audiobooks now, but like still I consume literature like crazy. And I just really was into horror. Like, Michael Crichton was huge for me. Dean Koontz was huge for me. Stephen King was huge when I was growing up. I used to go to the used bookstores, and you can buy like just books for like $1, man. And I mean, like, not like one book, like you buy like 4 or 5 books for like $1 or whatever. And so I just would do that all the time. And so I just pick up whatever, right? And that led me into like high fantasy stuff, like Robert Jordan, Game of Thrones shit. That's how I found that genre, and I just fell in love because that was like the biggest escape, because you'd find these long series of like, and it was like, always the bad kid that'd been in a bunch of trouble, or like, uprooted lives, or just having a shitty time of life, and they get to go on this wonderful adventure and find out, oh, they really weren't that bad. Life just sucked, and like all this stuff. And it just, related to that a lot when I was younger. Stormlight Archives is one of my favorite. Great book. The Wandering Inn, great books. Good fantasy books. There's just so many.
There's just too many.
I do Audible, dude. Like, I just consume audiobooks now. Like, I'm like, when I'm working on the house, like, audiobooks on, and I just like, I'm out mowing the lawn, audiobook, man. Driving somewhere, audiobook. Well,
Nice.
sometimes music. It just depends. But like, the audiobooks, I think for me, it's just like, when you're doing shit you don't really want to be doing, or that you want time to pass by, like listening to an audiobook makes the time go by faster than like music, right? Because like I'll be rocking out to some music and I'll be like, fuck yeah. Then I'm like, oh shit, that was only 3 minutes, bro. Like,
exactly, right? You hear the whole album, and you're like, oh damn, that album's done. I haven't even finished the walls yet.
Right, exactly. Like, son of a bitch, dude. It's only been an hour. Fuck, I got 9 more to drive.
I got into that with popular true crime podcasts and things like
That'll
that.
do the
I
same
had
thing.
like a thing with like the True Murder was one that I
Yeah.
really got into.
I can't listen to that true crime shit, dude. That shit gives me anxiety, dude. And
I love it.
I'll be out front sitting with my like chainsaw, looking at my neighbors funny. Well, what you doing out back, bro?
Well, that is the thing, though. You do find out about like all these true crime podcasts, how many there is. Like, it scares me that like I'm a total true crime dude, right? I watch ID Discovery. There's a whole network of true crime, right? There's like hundreds of shows with like hundreds of episodes, and there's no reruns. That's scary. Don't get any life insurance ever. No life insurance ever.
That's like 70% of them, right? Like, yo, babe, I just picked up some life insurance. You did what?
Yeah, exactly. He was murdered 2 weeks later. Dude, a little note to that not that many people know about you, though, Steve, is that you are a published author yourself.
Man, that was so long ago. Mostly, I was into the poetry stuff for a while and submitted some stuff, got it published, and then went to some. I barely remember. Tommy went with me too. We went out to like DC after it. Got invited to this like symposium thing. I don't remember being drunk in DC. I'm gonna be honest, dude. I don't even remember. I know I read shit when I was there or something, but I just know I got in a lot of trouble drinking in DC. But wrote some poetry. I used to write a lot of poetry. I don't know. Got into it for a while. Submitted a bunch of stuff. It got put into a couple anthems, like anthology books and stuff.
And you were really a fantastic poet. Like you would have I would remember like you would have like binder papers upon binder papers, like filled with like
Ooh,
some of the darkest, most
very dark.
insightful, but also some light poetry too. You did it all.
I did like I know like through school and like stuff. I wrote a lot of short stories and was into writing stories and stuff, but like I never did it on my I like my parents weren't very like, hey, go pursue stuff. It was more like, hey, go do chores stuff. So I didn't really pursue any of that stuff when I was until I moved out and realized that like I could, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, wait, I can just do this like outside of school for fun for me, and so I think when I moved is kind of when I started like exploring like creative stuff, like, stuff outside of like, learning how to put a barn up or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? And so I'd say like when I moved to Redwood and I think, the catalyst was meeting, people like you and our friend group that were just like all creatives. Like, everybody played music, everybody like did something creative, art, writing, like everybody was just like finding their own and had so many creative outlets. And it was just like I think it was super inspiring and like, holy shit, like, I never thought about doing any of it. It never like crossed my mind until that time, I don't think.
So going back, so what was the whole
Mhm.
catalyst for you moving to Redwood at the start? Anyway, so like you were from that town and you moved. What got you to come to here and why?
It was either that or military school. Later in life, I was told that was probably wouldn't have happened because my parents probably couldn't afford to actually send me there. So it would probably been ended up in like some group home or some shit like that. I got in a lot of trouble, man. Like I was not a great person when I was a kid or a teen. I had lots of anger issues and other issues, and I think there was a point in my childhood, I guess, when I was like 14 to 15. I kind of snapped. Like my life wasn't the best. My parents weren't the best. Things just weren't great, and I did a lot of bad shit, and I got in a lot of trouble. And my parents didn't know what to do with me. And my cousins up there, it's like my dad's cousin. They were like, "Hey, like." Maybe just needs to get the fuck out of like Hickville. And so they were like, hey, he can come out here. He was cool when he was here. We'll give it a shot. That lasted. I didn't even finish the year at school living with them before they kicked me out. so
But I'll take him back.
so yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Well, but you did wind up staying down in Redwood for a while, even after that. Like, how did you
Yeah.
get by? Like, what were the things that you were able to do? I think you were couch surfed for a bit, right, at the time?
Oh man. Yeah. So, well, Fred and his parents let me stay with them to finish the school year. Fred was like, "Yo, we have a spare room." Let me talk to my parents. And his parents were kind of like, well, I don't know." I like a quarter left in school or whatever, and I had really good grades despite me barely ever going to class and us drinking and all that. And they let me stay there. Fred let me stay there, and then his parents were like, hey, you can stay through summer, because like they were talking and we're like, I'll try and get this, that. And then I had gotten they asked me to leave. But this was a little different because like I'd gotten like this thing for American Legion, like a scholarship to go like I was supposed to go stay there, do this debate thing
Mhm.
and go and like all this stuff. And I got drunk and didn't go. We went partying at probably I think it was like a Sully Friday night or whatever.
Speaking of bad
And
influences, everyone was like, you don't need to do that thing. Let's go to Aaron's house.
I was probably I was probably like that too. So I didn't make it the next morning to down to the American Legion to do all this stuff. So they dropped it. They dropped, the scholarship stuff and everything they were going to give me. Excuse me. And Fred's parents are like, nah, dude, you gotta go. Like, like, if you're not gonna be like responsible and like, trying to like, do stuff and you just want to stay and party, you can't stay here. And I was like, cool, whatever, fuck you. I know, actually, I didn't. I think I was pretty like nice to him. I was like, yo, No problem. I get it. Thanks for letting me stay. And then I was homeless, man. Slept in the back of Sherry's truck. Had a sleeping bag. Slept in stall staff. Scott let me crash in his pad a bunch. Sully would let me crash every once in a while when he was down at the one house. But mostly I slept in Sherry's truck, dude. Like, I think probably slept in the back of that truck for fucking a year, dude.
You probably had like all your belongings and everything right in the back of her truck, right? You know?
Yeah, I had like a backpack of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's cool. Damn, that Sherry was awesome with that truck. I think that like, you know, that truck is a sick ass truck. I miss that truck. It's a cool truck, actually. Truck. I remember back in those days.
Spent a lot of time with that truck.
Yeah, that's cool. I wonder if that truck is still around or if she sold it.
No, she sold it. I remember she sold it at some point. I remember we were still kind of in that Redwood City, the ending of the Redwood City days for me.
Yeah, that was a shame. That truck was there's a lot of fun times involved with that truck.
That's what they should have made a statue of for me.
Yeah, the truck.
The truck.
It housed many of Redwood City.
You had a lot of fun in that truck.
Yeah. Well, dude, like, so then there was a time though when you were still in Redwood and everything, and then you had moved away then.
Oh shit, dude. I mean, obviously, you know, when Ken passed away, that fucked me up pretty good. And then I went, fuck, what happened, man? I don't know. I ended up in Colorado with my uncle. Then my uncle died while I was there. I sold magazines across the country for a while. So I was there like, I don't know, 2 weeks after he passed away. And then I got fired. I was doing telemarketing. Yeah, I was doing telemarketing while I was there. Because it was like the only job, you know, I didn't have any skills or, you know, anything. I needed a job that paid the best, better than working at McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
You know, but he got really sick. He was in the hospital and shit. And they're just like, I missed a couple days. I probably didn't call because I was at the hospital. And so they fired me. And I was like, all right, well, fuck, that sucks. And then so since he passed away like the next day. And I like didn't have anywhere to really go. Shit just fell apart really quick. And so I was staying. This one guy, I'd let him stay with us for like a couple weeks, and all this started going down. And he got an apartment like right when all this happened. He was like, "Hey, my girl isn't coming for like because his girl was moving back to town, and they were getting this apartment." Anyways, stayed with him for like 2 weeks, I think. And I like trying to get another job, trying to like figure out what the fuck I was going to do. And I remember it was his brother, and I seen the ad. It was like traveling sales or some shit like that. Right. And we went down and talked to him. It was like, we're like, probably not going to get the job, whatever. But they didn't care. Like, this is like it was or selling magazine subscription. It was like a scam anyway. So they'd hire anybody. So yeah, we got hired, obviously. And that was like traveling around the country. So like, I don't know, dude, I did that. And then for a while, and then I got thrown in jail while I was doing it. Well, no, because I got in a big fucking fight and shit, and drugs and drinking and the usual shit. Jason,
usual
shit. So at a hotel, got in a bunch of trouble. You know, big old fight, cops got called, all that stuff. And so anyway, so then I went to jail for like, I don't know, 6 months or something. And then I got out and came back to Redwood. And then that's when Tommy moved to Humboldt.
Half of our friends went up to Humboldt State. Tommy and you, and I think Andy too, right?
Andy,
or was this
Andy? Yeah.
Yeah, you guys went
Andy
up there.
Came, yeah. Dude, we were fucking back and we were at what the Mardi Gras or... Not the Mardi Gras, we were at no, because I was 20, so we were at a hotel partying, and you know, I was just like, fuck, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I got a little bit of money, and Tom was like, well, shit, dude, let's go to Humboldt. I was like, what the fuck's in Humboldt, man? He said, well, like, Galen's up there, you know, Chris, like, blah, get Casey. And I was like, fuck, all right, let's go. And so I think me and Andy went up there, like, we all went up there, and then I got an apartment. And then Tommy's parents came and like brought his shit up and stuff later, and they came up or whatever, like a few weeks later. And then we stayed there.
And then how did Andy get involved with that too? Did he just
he was at the hotel?
He was there too. He's okay. Sounds like it's pretty well thought out.
I mean, absolutely. It was like I'd been back. It was like 2 nights back. I was at the hotel. I was like, dude, I can't just stay in a hotel here in Redwood, man. I gotta like split. I gotta go do something, you know? Like
Mhm.
we were just drinking it with, I think it was just us three. At that point, we were just drinking. And Tommy's like, hey, let's move to Humboldt, bro. And I was like, all right. And he was like, I'm coming too. And I was like, all right, let's do this.
So you, Andy, and Tommy
Yeah.
moved up to Humboldt on a whim from a random motel party. I came up, to go and see what's up and seeing how everyone was doing. And then when I saw your guys' place, and it was kind of crazy. It was a crazy spot. Like right when I opened the door, there was this like light that said in bright like Christmas light said "No future" on the top. And then Tommy's room had a bunch of different crumpled up newspapers. Like,
I forgot about the Crumples.
yeah, it was like a room that was filled with newspapers. So Tommy had to sleep in a bunch of different crumples.
That's what he gets for being weeks late to coming to move in. That's what
So
that
tell me the
was.
story of what the crumples was like, because Tommy, I guess he didn't know that was happening. No.
No, it was I forgot. I fucking forgot about the Crumples, brother. Oh my god. I don't remember like how it started, but I do know it was Andy and I, and then we got people just got involved, man. It just evolved into this thing where people would come over and we would sit in the room and crumple newspapers and fill Tommy's room full of newspapers. And like everybody would contribute. It'd be like someone knock on the door, like, oh, Galen just got here. He's like, hey, dude, I got some newspaper. Let's go chill and, crumple newspapers, bro. And yeah, like I do. We spent so much time just like kicking back beer and crumpling this newspapers to fill Tommy's room before he got there with newspapers. And then us being the, very, very, active and caring, people that we are. We never cleaned that shit out, dude. Like it just stayed there. Tommy didn't give a fuck. Like nobody cared. So like he just slept in the Crumples, man. Like, and it was just known as that. It was and I think we finally cleaned it out when we left. I don't think I'm pretty sure it stayed Crumples the entire time. People lost shit in there, dude. People would lose shit and come back. Like somebody would lose their keys in there and like swimming around the fucking newspaper. I don't think like this is a full on big bedroom that was like literally, halfway to the ceiling with crumpled up newspaper when it first started, and then as the time went on, it compacted a little bit.
Yeah, I remember I slept in the crumples once. One time, the first night, 'cause I was like, "Oh, that seems good." And then the morning time, right? You would have all the black ink from the newspaper, right? Would be all up in your, so you'd be
Everywhere, dude.
blowing black.
Oh, so
Not the
gross,
whole for the
dude.
next week. So I'd
No,
never stayed in the crumples after.
no, dude. I never slept in those crumbles. Dude, but people would just stay. Oh man.
Yeah, the only one that liked the crumples was Ant Dog when he came over there. He loved the crumples. He came up
Mm,
and he would like had a pick in
mm.
his hair and he was like, "Oh, those
Yeah,
crumples
yeah.
were badass." And I was like, "Oh, really?" It's like he seemed to have loved the crumples. There's two things I remember my trip there. The crumples definitely was one of them.
Mm,
The second
mm.
one was canned pork. I didn't realize that they had canned pork. They
Yeah,
had
dude.
it.
We were poor. So we got food from the food bank, man. Like nobody had a job. I think I ended up getting a job at Taco Bell at the end. So we ate leftover Taco Bell and then we mixed hot sauce packets with canned pork and potatoes and oh, so it was like this giant, it's spammy kind of thing, but it's this big can of just like gelatinized processed pork in a can.
Oh man.
Oh yeah,
No,
dude.
but what happened with Humboldt? Why did it ultimately did everyone just decide to go their own ways?
Oh, we're broke, man. I think I ended up I couldn't do the Taco Bell. It was like working night shift. But it was me and Galen at one point. Like I got hired on as like a supervisor. Then Galen got hired because he needed a job, and it was me and Galen working these night shift in fucking Humboldt with all these. It was awful. So then we couldn't pay rent, man. Like we didn't have any money, and so we had to move. We had to leave. And Melanie had came up and was gonna like stay with us and help with rent. And but she came up, she stayed the night, and I was blasting Spaz at like 3 to 4 in the morning, drunk as fuck, just like blasting it. And I guess that was a no-go for it. Neighbors loved us too. So that didn't work out. So her and Andy got a place in Eureka, which they were nice enough and let me stay there for like I stayed with them for like a week or two when they
until you blasted Spaz at 3 a.m. right?
No, I didn't do that there. It wasn't my place. It was like get the fuck out, like, you know what I mean, as fast as you can kind of thing. So then I got a job at McDonald's and was living in a hotel, like a pay by the week druggy hotel.
So you went back from hotel in Redwood to now hotel in
I've lived in multiple hotels for months. I've lived in worse places than hotels. But this is great because this was like a hotel that was like had a Chinese restaurant connected to it, and I was still not 21 yet, and they didn't care. So I just go sit in there after work and drink a few beers, eat a lot of McDonald's.
So then I went and blew it and said, "Hey, let's go to Chico."
No, I mean, well, you probably saved me, because I would have probably be dead or be still some like one-armed, one-legged, peg-legged pirate fisherman in Alaska.
Yeah, because that fishing boat. Yeah. So who gave you the idea for the fishing boat? Because I know you were talking about it.
I had to go. I knew I didn't want to work. I didn't want to live in a hotel working in McDonald's in Eureka. It's Eureka. I wasn't even in Arcata anymore. It was like an hour away. Like I had to ride a bicycle or walk the freeway to get there. Because you could ride on the freeway and walk on the freeway up there. Anyways, and I've seen an ad in the paper, man, and I was just like, fuck it, dude. Like, pays good money. Like, you can make like 60 grand. You work for 3 months, but super shitty and super dangerous. But I went. Yeah, so I went and did the seminar thing. Did the training out there, and they had like a 3-day thing, and they got the offer to go up and work on the boat, and I think I got the offer, and like it was like I was supposed to leave like in like a week or two, and you called me like, or I don't remember, but we were talking anyways, and you were like, bro, don't do that, don't go, come move to Chico with me, and I was like, oh, what? All right, fuck it, let's do it.
And we tried, and we went. So we went up to Chico. Yeah, and we stayed there for a week, right? Was it a week or a couple of days?
I feel like it was a week.
Yeah, and it was an interesting week. We met like a escaped felon. We met some psychopath chick. We met a lot of fun, interesting people while we were there. But all in all, and it was me, you, and James Isaacs. We were gonna live together up there because we're gonna get a big house. And there was this really cool house that we actually saw because we were looking at places, and one had like a river that went through it, literally, right by a little tiny Pabst Blue Ribbon like place. Yeah, and Chico was rad. We put in an offer for that place, right? And then I think it was either James's background check or someone's background. It just didn't go through with the background check. On it, and so we got denied the place because of that. It was one of many crazy trips. Go and get Jimmy also from San Diego. That was a fun trip. And Pat's van. Hitchhiking. The one time I ever hitchhiked was with you.
Yeah, that crazy guy picked us up, dude. That guy was wild.
He was just like Jeffrey Dahmer, man. He's like crazy. And I was like thinking to myself, well, I hope Steve has his knife. And you're like, I had my hand on my knife the whole time.
I was like ready to just like shake this dude in the back of the head. And he kept looking at me in the rear view. And I wasn't talking. I was just like,
yeah,
this is
there was
weird.
something off. And I was thinking, I was like, oh, we are gonna get killed. And I was like, oh, I always thought not to hitchhike, and ever since then, I still don't. You know, and I said, if I get out of this, I'm never gonna hitchhike.
Not gonna do it. Yeah.
So I was looking at the door, and the door didn't seem like it was. It looked
Yeah.
like it had like all messed up, and I was like, "Oh man, this might not work." And like, oh my
Yeah.
god! And hopefully he drives this one. And I was like, oh, let's just pull right over here, the next one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We were just like, no, dude, you can just, you don't even have to drop us off the gas station.
Yeah.
It's cool right here. Just pull over right here. We'll walk up. It's cool. Thanks, bro.
After Chico, what did you do at that time? Because I remember there was a period of time where I think you might have moved back in with your dad. No,
I moved back to their property. They rented me a trailer on their property, and I tried to go back to school. That didn't work out, and so then I started doing the ironworking.
So, and your dad was a Hell's Angel, right? Or did he? I know he built Harley. He built Harleys.
That was my uncle.
Your uncle, okay.
It's different, not Hell's Angels, but different bike club. But yeah.
But your dad was a huge Harley fanatic.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a ton of different
yeah.
amazing Harleys and stuff at the property that you were staying on, which was a huge horse ranch, right?
They did dog training.
Dog training. That's right. Police dog training.
But she had Janet, my stepmom had horses.
Yeah, so it was a huge property. I remember that, and we stayed in the back part where you were at, right? You were in the back part. You know, and it was a cool, interesting experience being on there. And your dad, who also didn't your dad give Tommy a tattoo?
Yeah, he did.
He does tattoos and things too. He gave you yours too?
Yeah. Me and my dad this is the first time I got drunk with my dad. I came out with a tattoo. It's my dad. I'd say like I went through phases with my old man. And my dad wasn't so bad, growing up he just wasn't there. Like he worked out of town a lot and stuff. And then, by the time he was around more, like I'd already like turned into whatever I was. And so we just butted heads, you know what I mean? And I think, there was a good portion of my life where we rebuilt, a lot of relationship. Humans are humans, right? Like you got to think about it. I always think about this. Like my dad was young, man. Like at that time, he was like in his 20s and 30s. Like, what the fuck, man? I think about me. Like we're talking about us hitchhiking and shit when I was that age, right? You know what I mean? Like. And so you look back at that as you get older. Like at the time, it doesn't matter. You just look at them as your parents, right? They're just my fucking parents. Why aren't you doing what you should be doing? You should be worried about me. But you forget or you don't understand that they're just humans. They're gonna make mistakes. They have their own goals. Like maybe shit didn't work out that they wanted to do. Their own stress and. Once you think about shit that way, it's like, oh, fuck, man, you're going through the same shit I am. You have no idea what you're doing. You're just fucking faking it. We're all just trying to make it. And I think it's a lot easier to understand, forgive, and like know people are just doing what they can, my dad came from the place of, dude, life sucks. It's going to knock you on your ass. I'm going to teach you how to do a bunch of shit that you don't want to do so that you have it to fall back on. And I didn't think about it like that. You know what I mean? He didn't want me to do all this creative shit because he tried and failed it. And he just wanted to make sure that I didn't fuck up my shit trying to do it. But instead he made me into a crazy, rebellious, angry little shit.
You were back at your place with your dad and everything, and you were reconnecting in a new kind of way.
I was an iron worker then, hanging beams, hundreds of feet in the air.
That's crazy work. So that's like very hands-on, very like hard work. Like what happened with that? Like did you stick with that or was it something where
man. You know what happened? Here's what happened with that. So I was doing the iron worker. We came up. We're hanging out at TC Bonelogue's backyard like we used to do. Mm-hmm. You came over. Chris Heath came over. We're all talking about what the fuck we're doing. And Chris Heath's like, "Yo, dude, I'm working at Sony. I test video games." And I was like, "You can do that?" And so I was like, "Holy shit, that sounds dope." And so I quit the iron worker and I ended up moving back up to Redwood, and I got a job at EA doing the testing game shit.
You've always been into video games, as far
I think as far. I mean, I've always thought they were dope. You know what I mean? Like, I had a Nintendo, so like I got to play them then. PC and I used to play his time splitters all the time, and I was a man. So I just liked video games. It was like fun, and yeah, I was like, oh, that's dope. And then, so yeah, I got into them, and even more as I got my shit together and could afford them and stuff and have my own
Yeah.
place. And so yeah. So like I said, fuck it, let me try this. And I was trying it at EA and it paid like shit, man. Like I could barely afford to live. I was living in renting rooms basically to survive because it paid like $12 an hour, $10 an hour or something in Redwood, right?
Hmm.
So I think I moved down to like Santa Clara or something where it was a little cheaper
Is that where you
and
lived
had a
with
room down
Brad
there.
and Andy again?
Yeah,
Brad, Andy, and the
yeah,
big house. That was
yeah.
a nice house.
Well, we did that then. Yeah, like that happened after that with Sunnyvale, the Sunnyvale house. That was fun. Yeah,
Hmm.
that
That was a good party house for
that
sure.
was we definitely partied. Yeah, that was cool. And then that wasn't working out because like I was like I can't afford to do this and live it. Like it doesn't pay enough. So I was like I got to go back to school or something because I want to like do this. So I had to go back. I went back to ironworking and construction and was doing night school while I was doing that.
And so when you went back to school, what'd you go back to school for? What was the actual technical thing that you wanted to do?
Computer science. So for coding, because of Brad, like, so I learned so much because Brad, was Linux programmer, like
Yeah.
coding
Your
guru,
roommate at the
motherfucker.
time in Sunnyvale,
Yeah,
Brad.
yeah. Him,
Yep.
him and Wolf,
Yep.
they both, oh, shit, they both worked at Google,
Hmm.
like before it went public.
Hmm.
And so I didn't know shit about computers, dude. Like nothing. Like I know, like at that time, I knew nothing. Like as we were talking about earlier, I didn't have one growing up or any of that shit. I knew nothing, dude. I was like, you can show me shit. I was like, what? You can do
Yep.
that? So I knew then I was like, oh, I gotta go back. I gotta go learn more if I want to, because I didn't want to make $12 an hour, for the rest of my life and be working like 60 hours a week just to fucking eat. I was like, this, I might as well go back to construction where I can make three figures in 10 years. But yeah. So anyways, I went back to school, ended up doing computer science. I did some IT stuff, computer science, and then I got hired. I was still playing games while I was doing it, and I met some people playing that, and I got hired to move back to Colorado of all places for doing a programming job through somebody I met playing video games with. Springs hosting.
All right. So that was your first official tech job, then, per se,
Yeah,
right?
first coding job.
So being someone that has always done, the ironworking and all that other stuff. So what was the difference from doing that to doing coding?
Sat on my ass, bro. What are you talking? It was great. I had an office, man. I had AC. There was beer in the fridge, dude.
That's awesome.
It was great, man. It was a turning point, for me. It was good, but I think, I still had a lot of issues I was working through. So it worked for a while, and it wasn't, I wanted to make video games too. So I did that for a couple of years. It was good. They were good to me. They're good people. So
So you
it
stayed
was
there for a
good.
good couple of years, you said, right?
Yeah, just
Couple of
about 2 years.
years. All right. So
Couple.
then what was the next chapter then from there? What were you going? Because you said you're going through some time. I think was that the time when you had visited me and you had just got married?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I
Okay.
was engaged. I was
You're
engaged.
engaged. Maybe you were
Yeah,
engaged
yeah,
at the
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. Well, shit fell apart as always, so so we broke up, all that shit happened. And then I think I ended up back in Redwood or Sacramento. No, I think I was back in Sacramento and I stayed with my cousin for a while. Like I came back to Cali from Colorado to figure
Hmm.
out what the fuck I was gonna do. And then I went to a conference, a big conference. It's a game developers conference, and I met my now wife there. And we were talking for a while, for like a year, I think. And then I was like, she lived in Michigan at the time. I was like, fuck
What?
it, I'm
Okay,
just gonna
so
do it.
how did you meet your wife?
At a game develop at a conference at a game
At the
developers
conference. So
conference.
just like she was at the same conference and you just started talking to her?
Yeah. Yeah. So then we chatted. So then we kept in touch and we chatted like online for like a year or whatever. And then she came. We went to the same conference again, and we got the hotel to stayed together and stuff. And then it was like I think a month or so after that, I was like, yeah, fuck this. I'll move to Michigan. Let's see if we make this work. Couldn't find tech work in Michigan. Couldn't find tech work. Big surprise, buddy. Big surprise. Surprising nobody. Yeah, so I ended up working at I ended up being a supervisor at like a Checkers burger joint, dude. And I did that for a couple months, and I looked at her and I was like, yo, Michigan sucks. This job sucks. This apartment sucks. This sucks. I was like, I love you. But like my buddy called me and he's like, dude, let's move to Austin. Let's move to Austin. And I was like, because we both wanted to work at BioWare. And this is a buddy I met going to college with. So like we worked on game projects together and shit. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude, let's do it. I was like, let's do it. And so I was like, dude, just come with me. And she'd never lived outside of Michigan or anything. And she was like, fuck it, let's go. And so the three of us moved to Austin. And I got a job at BioWare. And she actually got a job in the game industry for a while too there. My buddy didn't, though. Funny story. My buddy didn't get a job. He had to move back to Ohio.
He's the one that had the idea.
Yeah.
So that you wanted to get a job at BioWare before you even moved to there, and you got that job. That's
moved
awesome.
there to get the job at BioWare, and
so you had no doubts. You're like, oh, I'm going to get this job.
That's all you got, dude. All you got it's all you get is faith in yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all you have in life. And it's like if you don't take the risks or believe in yourself, like ain't shit gonna happen. I think once you've lived in the back of somebody's truck and slept in parks, like at that point you're just like, you know what? What's the worst that can fucking happen?
Hence why we need to have a statue of Sherry's truck, right? Because without that truck,
never know.
There'd be no confidence.
I'd be in Alaska.
So how was Austin? I hear amazing
awesome
things, and I've never been.
It was awesome, man. It's changed a lot. I went back, like way after we went, we lived there, and it changed a little bit. But man, I had a blast. The food is, and 6th Street, the music scene and stuff was amazing. Like lots of partying. It was fun. I definitely had fun. Sure. You should definitely go for the brisket alone. It was what they called it when you lived in Austin. It was the oasis of Texas, right? Because it was not like so everybody outside of Austin hated Austin, right? Because it's a shithole to them. That's where all the crazy, weird progressives are, and then everybody in Austin is like younger, crazy college kids, tech, that kind of stuff. Video game companies, there's a bunch of them, like crazy tech companies. So after Austin, we moved to. So at that point, I was like, I wanted to fast track my career because I felt like I was well behind, right? Older, waited to get in a lot later than most people. And you can't do that by having company loyalty usually. So, because you're like basically waiting for either somebody to quit or, whatever. So I left after SWTOR launch, which was what I was working on. I left the company and we moved to New York. And so I worked in Manhattan at New York Magazine. So out of the games for a year and stayed in Manhattan. Yeah, so it was there. And then my dad had a major heart attack. It was bad, but he pulled through. He ended up pulling through. But after that, I decided I wanted to be closer. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, well, like down in health, I'm all the way on the other side of the country. So, plus I wasn't too stoked with the company I was working for, but I don't want to like bag on anybody on this. So I wasn't really happy there. New York was fun. I've had a blast.
I said Manhattan must have been insane, right?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, dude. Like that was a fun time. Lots to talk about good food. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. But I worked a lot. It was cool to work there, but at the same time, like I'm commuting around on subway and stuff and working in Manhattan, and it's like I'm not really living it up, You know what I mean? Like it was just like cool. I worked. The weekends would come, and I was like, "Fuck, I don't want to go wander around the city. I'm fucking beat. I don't feel like dealing with a bunch of people." You know what I mean? Like just
Mm-hmm.
like So, anyways, we decided to move back to Cali. So I moved out. Was working in San Francisco for I don't know a little while
Mm-hmm.
at a startup
What was the
out
startup
there,
name?
Mind Snacks. So
Okay.
they made educational games, like educational games for kids like geography and stuff like that. It seemed like a cool. I liked what they were doing, is why I took the job. And they paid,
Mm-hmm.
they paid me a lot of money.
No, that
So,
too.
so
That doesn't
yeah,
hurt.
that didn't hurt. That didn't hurt. So by now I'm actually pretty good at my job, like what I
Mhm.
do, and like I was in management already,
And you're
and
still coding right now, correct?
so by then I'm coding and I'm doing like this tool tech that like no on the side of the team that nobody really did in the game industry. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like kind of like one of the few people doing it, which made getting a gig anywhere I wanted really easy. And it's why I chose the career path I did, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
when I was doing it, I was like, oh, this is great. So yeah, so it got escalated my career really fast. So I'm like now I'm making decent money. But the startup I was at, they didn't end up getting their Series B, so like basically ran out of funds, right? So most of like almost anybody that wasn't like a founder that was in a management position and was got laid off. And like my whole team, my whole department got laid off
Mm-hmm.
and got nice. They gave me a good severance. They were nice. No hard feelings. I wasn't there very long, like just over a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided I really liked startups. I was like, oh, I like this. This is fun. It's like fucking wild west shit.
Yep.
Like this is
High
cool.
risk, high
It's
reward,
exciting.
very much.
Yeah, super exciting stuff. From there, I got a job at another startup in Santa Monica. So uh, kind of at this point, I'd gotten a bunch of job offers. I was like, oh man, Santa Monica, that sounds like fun. Let's go
Sounds
down, live on the
amazing.
beach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lived in a place that was less than a mile to the beach. Like could walk to the beach. The
Oh
place was
man.
tiny though, dude. It was like a 300 square foot place with a 300 square foot yard because I had the dog, so we
Mm-hmm.
went a little yard, and so it's tiny, but I was never at the house, like because it's another startup, and this one was like had it was backed by its parent company that kind of like was funding it was the was a Korean company, and they have a huge business drinking culture. So like I was an executive. So at this point, like I was I swear to God, dude, I spent so much time more time at the bars than at the office. I don't know if that's true or not, but it felt like it.
There's a lot of tech is like that,
Yeah.
definitely.
No, it was fun. It was cool. In the end, the parent company ended up like there was a bunch of there was three founders and there was a bunch of internal politics. They were basically after each other's throat. And one guy ended up getting two of them fired, and then turned out that like he probably needed at least one of the other one's knowledge, and in the parent, like the funding company ended up just like they had another startup that
They
that
wanted to
we
go
actually
into.
shared a building with, and so they just ended up like consolidating that into this other management team, and just like we're like, you're all gone, bye. And
High risk,
so
high reward again. Startups
yep,
like that.
yep. It's made decent money, and so then I was like burnt out. Like
Hmm.
that was the burnout one. I was like, dude, fuck. Like I worked like so much. Like it was ridiculous. And Jess was probably pretty tired of me at this point too, because I was fucking like always hammered and just working and
God's for
drunk and
work.
yeah, exactly. Oh my god.
You're on the roof peeing again. That's not for work.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm signing contracts. Sometimes you got to pee off a roof, you know. But yeah, so then from there, so we had a bunch of job offers, couldn't decide really what I wanted to do. And then I got an offer at Epic Games, and they flew me out for the interview and stuff because that was back in the East Coast. That's in Raleigh. They fucking gave me like the 5-star treatment. Like they put me up in a super like normally they put you up in like this hotel like that's across from the campus, like where the building was. They put me like down by the Cinebistro thing, like with a bar, got me movie tickets, like rented me a car. They were like, stay a couple extra days, check out the
Just on the
area.
interview?
Yeah, for the during the interview.
No pressure on trying to get the job or anything.
Right.
Hey, I kind of was just going to try to live off unemployment a little longer.
Right. I was like, so like, I call Jess. I call her. I'm like, yeah, I'm already kind of sold on this place. I haven't even like interviewed
right?
yet. I'm just like, this
so please hire me. Please hire me.
Trees. There's and LA was like going through the drought at the time too, so it was like it was all dry, and I was like, they gave me free water. No, it's just like it was super cool. And so yeah, I interviewed. It was like it was like one of the craziest interviews I'd done too. It was like full day. I interviewed with like the like the VP, and it was dope. I was like, oh fuck, this is cool. So I got back. They offered me the job basically before I even left, and so I was like, "Fuck it." And they offered like good relocation package. So I was like, I'm moving across the fucking country again. Like I was like, last time I did this, my relocation package sucked, and I ended up like having to help move my shit. And I was like, I don't want to pack it. I was like, no, I don't want to do shit, dude.
Yeah,
fuck this. And it sucks. But they were good. So yeah, so we've been out there, and I was there.
So you moved again then?
5 years. Yeah, so moved from Santa Monica to Raleigh, and
that's is Raleigh, North Carolina?
North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're still there?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Okay, so tell me about North Carolina. How? Because that seems like a nice place. I mean, if they could afford to do that, you probably have the biggest house in North Carolina.
I did not have the biggest house, but nope. I did buy my first house in Raleigh. That was the first time I bought a house. I did buy a house. It was a nice house. On an acre. So, like a few bedrooms. It was nice. It was a nice place. When they hired me, like Epic wasn't big yet. Like it's been around forever, but like they just had the engine, Unreal Engine. They made Unreal, but they were working on another game that I was on, but I was on tech and stuff, and then I got put on this other game that we can't. But then we made Fortnite, and that shit got crazy, right?
I think I've heard of that. All my nieces like Fortnite.
Yeah, you've heard of Fortnite. Like, you can't live in this world right now without knowing what Fortnite
and
is.
And they made Fortnite, Epic Games.
We made Fortnite. Yeah. Okay. While I was there, like I worked on it. I was like that's
so when you were working on that, did you say this is like gonna change the video game landscape, or were you like, oh, this is annoying? No, what were you doing?
It was funny. There was another game. It's called Battle Royale, and what happened was like me, the VP, like a couple of us, we played. And one day he's like, "What are you playing?" I was like, "I'm playing Battle Royale, I'm playing PUBG. You should come play it." He's got a couple of us were playing it, and then like one day I come into the office and he's like, "Hey, come in here." And it was like meeting, and there's like 10 of us in there, and he's like, "We're gonna make a Battle Royale, like out of our other game Fortnite," and I was like, and I'm thinking about it because like we already had building and all this other stuff that in Fortnite, and I'm like, oh my god, that's gonna be amazing. Like that's gonna be so much fun. This is like the buzz right now. And the Dan, he just like he knew what he wanted. it was a solid fucking idea and the right time. And it was like, we got to do it fast. We got to do it fast. So it was crazy. Like, we were working, like everybody's working like crazy. It was wild, but it blew up, man. It blew up. Yeah, dude. It's like they have concerts in it. They've done collabs with like everybody, just everything. It's wild, dude. It's insane. It's cultural phenomenon is what it was, and they made billions of dollars.
Like so, billions. Did you notice the difference between working at that company before Fortnite and after?
Well, that's why I'm not there anymore. I quit. I left. So yeah, it was actually right before COVID happened. So like, I've been there like 5 years, and it just had changed. We bought a bunch of different companies. I was like managing teams all over. Like I had to spend like 3 months in Seattle. I had to fly out to Seattle all the time. And things were just changing, and I was just like, it just wasn't for me anymore. You know what I mean? I was burnt out. I was tired. I was just like, man, and I just wanted to travel. Like I just wanted some time to myself, and I was fortunate to be there during Fortnite because I made a lot. Like we got sick ass bonuses. Like they treated us very well. Like anything to say about Epic is they took care of you. So I was just done, man. I was burned. I was tired. It was like all I do is work. Like I'm just not enjoying anything. I'm grumpy all the fucking time. I'm a fucking alcoholic. Like it just was not the best me. It was just not the best me anymore. And so I quit, and I was just like, I took off, man. I was traveling road tripping up and down the coast. I was live streaming on Twitch my travels. I went to like Miami, went up to Portland, Maine. I drove all over. I was like planning a trip to Alaska. It was badass, dude. I was having the time of my life, and I was at a con in Boston, and COVID hit in Boston. Like that's where it like started and I was at this con there, and like nobody knew what it was though. Like we had no idea, you know what I mean? So I was still at the con, and they're like COVID, and I'm like, whatever, right? Be safe. I won't lick anything, no big deal. And then COVID happened. So like I didn't know what the fuck to do, because like I had this fucking traveling, but that's all I was gonna do is travel. I couldn't travel, I couldn't do anything, so I just started my own game company.
So when you were traveling on Twitch, so you had your own show, kind of like a traveling show on Twitch?
Yeah, it was mostly eating, if I'm gonna be honest. Basically, I went places and ate, Slouch.
Nice.
You know what I mean? I was like, I haven't had this kind of food before. It was great. It was. I had the time of my fucking life doing it. It really was a great expression of what I think life should be.
Nice. Well, now I got to get on Twitch to see this, because I don't even know what Twitch is. What is Twitch? I don't even know. Is it like a Facebook or
It's kind of like YouTube, except for their live streams. Like, so it's all live.
Oh, it's cool. Twitch. I gotta sign up now. I gotta see it. What's your the channel called?
I don't have it anymore. It's all gone.
Oh, so it disappears.
Oh well, I took it all down.
Why'd you take it down?
I don't know. It was one of those moments where I just was, the moment it passed, and I just didn't want to dwell on it, kind of thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, that was fun, but that part of my life right now is gone. COVID, like I got all this other shit going. I was just like, I don't want to dwell on it.
I get that. I get that.
That's just how I am. I just like, I'm done with it.
So you were stuck in you said Chicago? No, not
Boston.
Chicago. Boston. And that's where COVID hit. And so what did you do? Because you couldn't travel, you couldn't do anything. You're kind of stuck there.
No, so they hadn't had lockdowns yet. So like COVID it was the first reported cases were coming in Boston, but nobody knew what it was yet. Like, they knew from China and like these other places where it was hitting, but like nobody knew that it was about to be a pandemic, and that how bad it was going to, that it was going to kill people. Like they were still like, oh, it's like, it's bad. It's like a flu, like whatever. And then, like I got home I stayed at the con, like even though this was going on, like I'm talking to the wife and stuff. I'm like, hey, what do you think? Should I just leave? And we're like, no, just be careful. And we're like, cool, yeah, it's fine, like just con crud, no big deal. And so I stayed, did the con, and then came home. And then came home, went and seen some friends and stuff, and we're all talking about it. And then like I think it was like a week later, like it was just like
Yeah.
and we were like, oh shit. And yeah, so then just that shit just kind of changed everything I was doing.
So then, so COVID's in. You and Jess are in Raleigh. So
Yeah, I started my own little game studio working on a game by myself. I got some funding for it. Where I bought my house like was like kind of on purpose. It wasn't in Raleigh proper. It was in like this area outside of Raleigh that was still really cheap in comparison to neighborhooding areas. So I bought it there knowing that the property would increase because Epic was buying all this shit up and new companies were moving in and whatever. And so now we're sitting on this house that was worth I don't know, like 120% more than when I bought it. And in like 2 years. So that was like my 10-year plan. It had been done in 2 years because COVID helped boost it too. It was like we were like, well, I didn't want to eat into all my savings. I'd been spending all this money on my game studio. And then so we were like, well, what are we gonna do? And we decided to sell the house, and we're like, we'll sell the house, we'll buy some because we don't have to be in Raleigh. Like, I'm not gonna work back at Epic, and then like all these things happen at once. So we sell the house, I get funding for my game, which we weren't sure if I was gonna get or not. So then I get funding, and I was like, well, if we sell the house, like I want to buy, like I'd had a bucket list of restoring an old house. Like it was just like one of those things. So we ended up I bought a 100-year-old house. Like it's like 1908 was when it was first built, and then finished in 1920.
Old haunted ass house, huh?
Yes. Yeah. So I've been working on it. I've restored like one room fully, redid a bunch of wiring, just working on this house. And so I work on games, work on the house, and then I started doing voice acting. So I've been doing those. That's what I do now.
That's cool. So tell me about the game.
So the one game that I'm working on it's a Twitch game. So some you don't know.
It's a live action game then?
Like a game
live streaming?
People play on the live streaming stuff. So
okay.
Like built for that platform specifically. And then I have another project that I'm working on that's like a narrative game.
And it's all on Twitch.
The first one is the narrative game is just going to be a regular game that people
What's the regular game about? What's that? Or is it still top secret?
Yeah, still.
Okay, cool. Well, definitely let me know when more comes out with it and all that. Yeah. I don't want to spill any secrets or anything because people steal the idea. Like me, I have a brand new game idea. Pitch it to EA.
Yeah, you got to be careful when with the new ones because I've got a pitch for investors. So like as soon as I get some money to hopefully make it, like.
So awesome! So you're building your own place,
refurbishing it.
I don't know. That's so cool. Very cool.
Kind of like redoing it, bringing it back to life. It's been challenging.
Yeah, but it's something that you love, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've always wanted to do, and I mean, like, kind of goes back to all, like, getting to this age of just like, hey, man, I've learned all these different things through my life and done so many different things. It would be kind of cool to like take my early life that I learned all this stuff to, build with my hands and all this construction stuff and, just use it for something for myself other than to pay the bills. You know what I mean? And totally. That way is like kind of gives your sense of purpose for all the shit you went through, right? It's like, cool, I'm glad I went through all that shit because now look at what I can do with it.
Exactly.
And so
and you like the area that you got it around and everything, right? Because it's all about the location. No, you don't like
No, it's not so hot. The location's okay.
Say, since you know how to build, if you want to start from the ground zero, there
Mhm.
is, Half Moon Bay. There that places.
Mhm.
I wish I knew how to do it, where you could buy, and even the land. It's kind of pricey ish for
So,
land, right? It's like
kind of.
about
It's
four hundred
expensive as
thousand,
fuck.
right? But
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
build it right, it's going to be like $1 million.
It's true. It's true. But as much as I made good money, I do not have money anymore.
Yeah.
It's not- we're no longer sitting on any kind of money. I believe most of that. Like, it's gone, buddy.
Hey, well, at least you got your own place to show for it, so that's
Yeah.
cool. It's
No,
very
I never, like I said, it's not like I made decent money, but it's not like I was ever well off or anything. We made enough to not have to worry about if I could get groceries anymore, which was nice,
cool.
or if like I'm gonna be able to pay the bill. But I've never we did all right towards the end. I mean, if I would have sucked it up and stayed at places and stuff like that instead of going off to chase my own dreams and adventures, I could have done better financially. But money only brings so much. You know what I mean? It helps keeps sustainability on your happiness, but it won't keep it there. The problem is that once you make a certain amount of money, you start to try and live within that means of money. So like it's like, I think back to like when we were kids and like we were talking about like, man, dude, if I made $60,000 a year, boy, woo, you know what I mean? And
Then you
now
realize
if I
how
make
it's not that much.
nothing, but back then, I'm living, in an apartment. I'm making $22,000 a year, paying room and still partying, still having the time of my life, but broke all the time, but paying bills, getting by. But do I have fancy things? Do I have nice things? No, hell no. If something goes wrong, it's gonna suck. Yeah, hell yeah. But
Yeah.
but then it's like you upgrade. Like you're like, okay, I make $60,000 a year. Now I got a whole apartment to myself. Okay,
Mhm.
now I'm still broke, still barely making it. Okay, cool. I'm making $80,000 a year. I'm gonna buy a house, get a mortgage. Fuck, I need a new car. Oh shit, now I'm broke and living paycheck to paycheck again. And then it's like, okay, cool. And then, oh, fuck yeah, I'm making $150,000 a year. I'm going to sell this house, get a bigger house, motherfucker, give me a fancy car. It doesn't matter how much money you make, you're always going to be broke.
Well,
It
speaking of
was.
drinking, do you have time? I know we're running low on this segment, but do you have time for quick shots really quick? Meaning like quick questions that I ask
Yeah.
you?
Yo.
All right, are you ready to do some quick shots? All
Hit me.
righty. What's your favorite pizza topping?
Pineapple.
What's the worst concert you ever played or ever saw?
Probably one of those festivals at Shoreline that I went to.
Is there anything from your past that you regret?
Oh, I'd say yeah, sure. I think that it's funny that we a lot of people say don't have regrets, or I don't regret anything, but like it's pretty hard to live a life free of regrets. There's going to be moments where you did something that you're like, damn, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Even if you're proud of where you are, it's okay to realize you made mistakes along the way.
Do you know what your life purpose is?
To enjoy it as much as possible.
What's the happiest memory that you have?
I don't think that there's just one. It's like more like a accumulation of events that lead to happy memories. To say I have a happiest memory would be like saying I have a worst memory when there's like it's not like a stack ranking, right? It's just like a group of here's bad shit, here's good shit, and here's everything between. So lots of good things. I mean, life is been wonderful in ways, and I mean, I've got a wife, I've got dogs, I've got amazing friends that I still talk to like years, you know. So lots of good stuff. You gotta be
What's your
comfortable
worst
with yourself.
fear?
Probably succumbing to some kind of loneliness or something, like letting myself in my head. I would say like sometimes our emotional well-being can be hard to hold together, and I guess like losing touch with that is kind of a scary thing.
What's the most important lesson you learned in your last relationship?
Don't be a fucking douchebag.
What in life are you most passionate about?
I've become super passionate about like spreading my happiness, like being happy, but like it's easy to be negative, and I think that the world is in a pretty dark place lately, and Like, it's pretty easy to just bitch at people about the stuff going around, and I've just found myself becoming super passionate about trying to bring a smile or a laugh to people's face when I see them.
Who or what inspires you?
It's not one particular person or thing. It's like acts are more inspiring than people in general. Like, it's that whole role model thing. Like, you know, like everybody's fallible. So like I try and tend to look at the actions of others or things that people have done that are to take inspiration from.
So who or what do you think of when you think about love?
Oh, my wife?
I like how you looked over to her. How long is this taking, by the way?
No, she's fine. She's like, you good?
She's doing all the lighting work of your place.
She's actually, her room got done first, so she's been up like organizing it.
I think your dog's trying to tell you it's your dog.
This is the other dog. The other one's laying in my lap.
What's something you would do if you know you wouldn't fail at it?
I don't know. That would take the fun out of it. I don't know. Maybe like go to the bottom of the ocean. You know what I mean? Like, that would be a cool thing to be like, all right, I'm not gonna fail. I go to the bottom of the ocean. I'm gonna go see the Kraken with my own 2 eyes.
Yeah, there you
go.
What was your loneliest moment?
I think, you know, we probably kind of talked about a few of them before. I think there was a dark time, you know, after Ken passed, and then a kind of a resurfacing of the same feelings later. And I had a lot of times where I never felt like I belonged, and like everything I was doing was fake. Like, because like as I was trying to fit in a lot back in Redwood, I didn't know who I was. Or what I want, like how to interact socially. Like, I had never, like, you know, I said I grew up in a town of 300. Like, I didn't know how to do. So, like, I just did what I thought people wanted me to do a lot, which, you know, led to even being in crowds. Like, I just always felt kind of alone because I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. And it was all kind of like an act most of the time for me.
So what do you think of the young people today?
I don't know. Some of them are right. The people, right? Like, I don't think there's a generational difference. We look at it different because we were raised different. We didn't have the same stuff. We didn't do the same thing. I always look at it like this. I think about all the crazy shit that we did. And I imagine if we had the fucking internet, like, we would be dead because we would be trying to do the stupidest shit. And like, so while I think some of the stuff that they're doing and the way they act and, you know, stuff that's going on is like, I'm like, well, I don't understand that. Like, I'm not supposed to understand that. It's not my generation. I didn't grow up the same. I don't have the same stuff. I don't have the same pressures of life. Wasn't raised that way with these things. So all we can hope is that whatever things that they come up with or whatever directions that they go, you know, is to make the world a better place for us that still exist into it.
Definitely. Well, dude, Steve, Zanzertouchie, Lucifear. Amazing to have you on the podcast, man. Like, thanks for taking the time out and hanging out with your boy Slouch.
Absolutely.
And we definitely need to do this more often. This was fun. Like, I'm sorry I kept you away for a bit, but, you know, I hope you had fun reliving some past stuff too.
Oh, absolutely. No, this is great. It was, you know, I think it was great because it was just fun talking to you. It's always good to talk to you, bud. So, you know, I'm glad that you contacted me and wanted to do this with me, and it was just fun to sit back and shoot the shit.
You are definitely, you know, my brother and great, amazing human being, and thanks for taking the time out, and I appreciate everything.